Hello, my name is Mordred Viking, and I'd like to welcome you to this stream of Europa Universalis 4, where we are doing the community multiplayer game. And yeah, that is a continuation from what we were doing last time. It is now 15:51. We have many of the players present, although there are, I think, 5 of them away at the moment. So the policy when players are not here is they are basically protected, which means they can't be attacked for that one session. If they miss 2 sessions in a row, however, then that's it. The protection's up, and they can be invaded as normal. And that is actually going to be the situation for England. England's now missed 2 sessions, so England is going to be up for grabs. And I suspect there's going to be a bit of a feeding frenzy. What country am I playing as? I am not playing. I am an observer. I am simply sitting over the top. I have the capacity to view everything in the game, and we're basically going to be watching the wars, watching the player actions, and giving you a bit of an analysis of what on earth is going on. And drinking Lemsip, because obviously I've caught a cold, hence my voice is super graty right now. But don't worry, there is tea. So if we take a look at the known world at the moment, we can see that things are thusly set up. Let's just go to the player mode, and then we can see who is here exactly. So we've got Blue Kiwi playing in Portugal, Portugal being one of the few nations that's made it to America so far. We've got Calico in the Mamelukes over here. We've got Commander Faceless in Brunei, Darkfighter in the Timurids. We've got that guy in Holland. We've got Fizz Biscuits MacGuffins in Ashikaga, also known as Japan, pretty much. Helsenstrat in the Commonwealth. We've got Holy Victor in Mali. Mean Wolf in the Congo. We've got myself, the Observer, obviously. We have Turndrop in Ethiopia. Val is up in Denmark. The Sweden player, unfortunately, is not here today, which is kind of gutting because she's independent for the first time. We have got Bacon Killer in the Ottomans. Klemf over in Vijayanagar, Cold Rage in Austria, CPM taking over, well not taking over, CPM in Ireland, we've got GN Fighter in France, and we have Sitwardijk, also known as Mindboy, in Muscovy. So the players who are not here today are General Robert E. Lee in Aragon, so Aragon is currently protected. Arachnos in Diviet, Seraphicus in Morocco, Trav in Sweden. Oh, I've got Aragon down twice. And then Bob is no longer protected in England because he has not been here for 2 turns, or two times. This is somebody connecting in. We had 1 or 2 people that were having a hard time connecting. So this is Fewer. Fewer is Brandenburg. So do excuse the ups and downs. They shouldn't be too bad, but obviously it's a multiplayer, so there's always going to be connection issues. Because people don't have as reliable internet as other people. Looks like Timurids are wanting to cut off Muscovy. Yeah, Muscovy have kind of been dogpiled on a little bit. They were allied to the Ottomans, which would have been a very, very dangerous alliance, except that the Ottomans broke their alliance as soon as Muscovy was declared on by Poland and Lithuania. They took Muscovy, which means that Muscovy can no longer... Sorry, they took Moscow, which means that Muscovy can no longer create Russia. So, Siberia is up for grabs. Hey, Mus. Diviet's my favourite. Yeah, Diviet's had an interesting game over here. A very, very slow start because he declared a war, took a vassal. Unfortunately, that vassal was already in a war against somebody else and dragged him in when he made the peace deal. And it didn't quite go to plan, shall we say. The interesting thing is that we've got Brunei, we've got Japan, we've got a Diviet, and I guess to a lesser extent Vijayanagar. So the east is definitely starting to heat up a bit more. Obviously, Europe is a bit of a mess right now, although the Iberian Thunderdome is put temporarily on hold because both Aragon and Morocco are not here today. And Morocco, I know, was a little bit concerned that his AI would form Andalusia, which he didn't want to do. I think that Morocco wants to continue being able to raid. Just double checking there. Yeah, all the players have switched out into their individual chat rooms. We've got like a bunch of chat rooms set up on Discord, which the various alliances use to talk and communicate. So, let's take a look around. I haven't heard many plans being talked about, but I have heard of some. I'm not going to say, because things could happen, I don't want to spoil that. But I have been promised a couple of shenanigans this time. Is that a different T-Mug? This is my Crusader Kings 2 T-Mug. And it's different because it's not tea right now, it's Lemzip. For my voice. Now, at the end of the previous stream, Mali was attacked by a bunch of the Mali was attacked by a bunch of the players, including the Netherlands, Portugal. Actually, it might have just been those two. I feel like there was a third one, but I don't remember who. And they took a bunch of Mali's coastline. So Mali was feeling rather put on upon by that. But we've since had Castile move into the Mamelukes, and Castile has basically said, I'm guaranteeing the whole of Africa. And the Mamelukes are stupendously wealthy. So I think that Mali has basically found themselves a natural ally in the Mamelukes, which is going to make going after Africa a lot more difficult. Like, the Europeans kind of don't want Africa uniting against them, because there is actually a lot of development and a lot of power down here. While they're fragmented and split up, they're going to be weakened in the same way that fragmented Europe is. But if they give them cause for unity, then that could well cause issues. And because the African powers are more separated right now, there's less time for borders to be grating against each other. For this stage of the game, who do I think is doing the best or has the most potential? Helson Strat in the Commonwealth is clearly running away with the game right now. He is a lot bigger than he actually looks. He actually has all of that. He's got Burgundy. He's got Hungary. He's got Bohemia. He's taken over the Baltics already. And obviously he's formed the Polish-Lithuanian Commonwealth, which means that his combat stats are redonkulous. His infantry combat's plus 40, his cavalry is plus 73, and his artillery is plus 10. Like, Helson is going to be a very, very tough cookie to crack indeed. And also he's just got a lot of troops. And probably the money to back it up. Let's actually take a look at that. Let's see how the various countries are doing in terms of income. So, as expected, we got the Mamelukes in first place by a long way. As I was saying, AI Mamelukes actually played it really well. And then when the player took over, there's a very, very healthy economy here. Indeed. And the Ottomans haven't been too much of a threat. No, there's Andalusia. That's unfortunate. Sorry, Serificus. That's really sucky, actually. Because Andalusia means that they no longer have the ability to raid. And I know that was his plan because he has been buying raiding posts throughout the world. Brandenburg is being fed the Prussian lands. Yes, he is. Yes, he is indeed. So we might well see a Prussia forming. The Ottomans want access through Commonwealth. In fact, there are a couple of wars going on here. What is going on? We've got the Commonwealth currently fighting against Albania, Florence, Bessarabia, Hamburg and Ferrara. Yep, there goes Morocco. Then we have got Ottomans, not in that war. Ashikaga was already fighting against Korea. Mali is fighting someone. Who's Mali fighting? Mali is currently at war with Timbuktu and Kano. Timbuktu, that's... Oh no, Timbuktu is over here. I keep getting Timbuktu and... Oh, what's this one? Zanzibar mixed up. Two big trade centres. We've got Ethiopia fighting against someone. Who's this? Yemen and Marahan. Is the Albania still alive to the Ottomans? Yes. And still independent, I believe. I mean, that's who the Commonwealth's going on after at the moment. And I wonder if that's in a bid to deny it from the Ottomans. In fact, were you guaranteed by the Ottomans? No. Oh, this is Austria going after Florence, and Austria is allied to the Commonwealth. That's what this is. Easiest way to have found that would have been to do this. So it's Florence, it's the Papal States, It's Albania and it's Bessarabia versus this. I don't think they stand much of a chance. Didn't Helson say he was going to PU Albania? I would not be surprised. Helson likes PUing people. Okay, so to answer the other part of your question, who has the most potential? I would say that Andalusia had a lot of potential. I don't know how this is going to change his game plan. It almost certainly will. He is already colonizing. Portugal is already colonizing, so I suspect there's going to be some conflicts between those two. France has bounced back. France cashed in a lot of their goodwill capital in order to restore a lot of their power. And actually, how is France doing in terms of manpower and income? Yeah, see, France is now really recovered. Their army is not looking too hot. But they, of course, have the ridiculous morale. They've got Elan already, and they've got military drill, so French morale is now going to be redonkulous. And actually, I wonder if that's going to be the highest in the world. They are currently 3rd. Commonwealth actually has more morale. Oh, but that's probably because you guys don't have morale boosted. No, you do, because you're fighting the rebels. Commonwealth obviously does. I'm actually surprised the Commonwealth has more morale. How have you achieved that? And you don't even have defensive. Well, you have the plus 15% from your ideas. Policies, maybe? Nope. How have you got more morale than France? Oh, prestige. And thriving arms industry, and also tradition. Yeah, that'll do it. That will do it. Once France gets their army tradition and prestige up, then they will be rather strong. And also power projection. Commonwealth is 45, France is 37. Actually, their power projection is relatively similar. Muscovy offering to sell some ships. Really interesting. Denmark currently pirating. Who is Denmark pirating? Probably Sweden. Or else Denmark's trying to get their power projection up. Or... oh no, they're just pirating Novgorod. So Denmark's going after Muscovy right now. Poor Muscovy. Can I see the Commonwealth going into Muscovy more or starting the Ottomans? I see them going towards Muscovy. Who else has potential? Holland has been relatively quiet. I'm a little bit surprised that we've not seen more of the colonial game from them. Although they do have explorations, they are starting down that track. Denmark is never one to underestimate. And they do have expansion ideas. They're not bothering to explore for themselves. So they've basically had to wait until more of the world became visible to them. Let's click on Denmark. I know they are waiting for Greenland, because he's been threatening to take Greenland for a while. And North America needs to come. So one of the things which kind of puzzled me at first, but now makes tons of sense, is Portugal refused to explore. So early on, Portugal starts with an explorer, but he did not use him. He was just using him as an admiral. And the reason for doing that is because he knew his own colonial range would not allow him to reach over here until he'd got a little bit more diplotech and possibly exploration ideas as well. And the way the game works is after 50 years, then anything that's been explored starts to spread throughout the world, so spread of knowledge. And because Portugal was so late in exploring, the rest of Europe is learning about North America really, really late. So it's given Portugal the absolute maximum amount of time in order to explore and to colonize. The only one that's really a competitor, I would say, is Andalusia. And actually, let's take a look at Andalusia's ideas. Because they no longer have Berber ideas, I believe. Oops. Come on. Go over here. So they have morale of armies plus 15%, which immediately puts them on par with the Commonwealth. And they have ship trade power plus 25%. So Andalusia is still set up to be a very major naval player. Possibly actually even more so. Fire damage... wow! Fire damage received minus 15%. Considering how important fire damage is in the late game, I have not seen any nation with that modifier. Especially not that high. That's very interesting. Vassal force limit contribution plus 100%, not really that relevant. Tolerance of heathens plus 3%, so they don't need to convert as hard, and they don't have religious ideas, so that is going to mesh quite well. Idea cost minus 10%, and also monthly piety. Lower piety for Muslim states means they will also have technology increase, but their morale will suffer. But the morale is already boosted, so I don't think that's going to be an issue for Andalusia. And the low piety, yeah, just means they're going to have loads of tech, and also lots of income, I think. We'll check that in a minute. They have got national manpower plus 15%, core creation cost minus 15%, which is kind of the opposite of the Berber powers. So they can expand and colonize pretty quickly, so they may well use that to go after Africa. Well, and probably Iberia. I think Aragon might need to look out. Aragon, I know, has made a few enemies around the world, with a couple of questionable diplomatic decisions, so we will certainly see that. They get a free colonist, which is going to allow them to get ahead of Portugal, potentially, if they take both exploration and expansion. Right now they've only got exploration, but I don't see any reason why they wouldn't take expansion. And then the capstone is fort defense plus 10% and fort maintenance on border with rival minus 25. If Andalusia is rivaled with those two, then forts on those borders would be cheaper. I think that's more if they only owned the south of Spain, which obviously they don't. Portugal was dealing with the Iberian Thunderdome. Portugal was dealing with the Iberian Thunderdome, but then so was Andalusia. I mean, the real loser there, obviously, was Castile. So I think that the Mamelukes have a bit of an axe to grind about that, because this is the Castile player. But then again, I really kind of hope that he doesn't, because the regional situation for the Mamelukes is very different from that of Castile. Yes, there are some overlapping areas of interest, but former enemies could now be new friends, like Andalusia. Muscovy is kind of screwed. Yeah, the fact that the Commonwealth managed to take over Belinska, formerly known as Moscow, is a big deal, because Muscovy cannot form Russia anymore, which means they cannot get the Siberian frontier mechanic. So Muscovy, I don't think, is going to grow much larger than this. And obviously he's got hostilities with the Commonwealth. Ethiopia is getting shanked. I think Ethiopia is the one doing the shanking against Yemen. A couple of lost territories up here, but that's not a big deal. There's no forts. Nah, they're fine. Their army's here as well. Yeah, they were just beating the Yemen army while they were off, probably sieging down Marahan. This is going to be a good expansion opportunity. And one of the real interesting changes in the regional setup here is Ethiopia was terrified of the Mamelukes when Mamelukes was AI, because they're going to be a lot less reliable. Now I'm kind of wondering what type of agreement these two have made. Because again, African unity is kind of in all of Africa's interest. And Ethiopia can be a bit of a juggernaut when it comes to combat. So if the Mamelukes fund the Ethiopians, then that could be a good combination. Another thing I want to take a look at is the status of technology. So we have got printing press spreading throughout Europe, and actually spreading pretty quickly. Also, we have a Prussia. Prussia has formed. We'll take a look at that in a minute. Muscovy does not yet have colonialism. Most of Europe does, although it's still spreading through Sweden, but Sweden has embraced it. Colonialism has made it to North Africa. It's even made it to Mali. Interesting. Although the Central Africa is still lagging rather far behind, but because they have so many neighbouring states with technologies, I think that will spread pretty quickly. The Congo, still trying to get the Renaissance, although it is present in much of their country, so it is spreading. They don't yet have colonialism or printing press, and that's going to be a struggle. Ethiopia also with no colonialism, but the Mamluks do have it, so if Ethiopia can make a deal with the Mamluks, they can get it that way. Timurids have got colonialism. I think they've been buying technologies from the Ottomans, and I think they just embraced it, judging by the fact that everything is now spreading. So Timurids are about to jump ahead of Muscovy again as well. Vishnanagar falling behind. They don't even have the Renaissance yet, but they should be getting it. Now, bear in mind that we are playing with a mod, which means you cannot develop up technologies. It has to spread naturally. So you can't just hit the development button and get institutions that way. It doesn't work. I've locked it. So it has to spread naturally, either through natural spread or through having the proper buildings, contacts, diplomatic deals. There are lots of ways of spreading it. You just can't do it so artificially, because I hate that mechanic. Congo is unified. Congo is unified. Congo is doing good. Right, so one of the things I promised to take a look at was the piety system for the Muslims. So at the moment they are very, very mystical, which means they have high morale of armies, high fort defense, and high missionary strength. And... oh. That's low piety. High piety is tech cost.